Hello, this is Mr. Painter with another fabulous IXL tutorial. Today we're working on O.11, classify angles in quadrilaterals 2. So if you haven't done so, please watch O.10, classify angles in quadrilaterals 1 to get an idea of what to do in this one. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky, but it won't be bad. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Just a recap from O10, remember all four angles in a quadrilateral, as according to our notes, will add up to 360 degrees. Now you're going to need to know what your polygons look like, as well as a little bit of algebra to figure out your missing angles. Let's get started on this one and see how it goes. All right, our question is asking for one angle of a parallelogram measures 160 degrees. What are the measures of the other three angles in the parallelogram? All right, so I think the first thing we need to do is remember what a parallelogram looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a rectangle that looks like it's kind of leaning towards the side. It's not a rhombus because remember, a rhombus has all four sides that are very similar and congruent, but this side it's only 2 and 2. All right. So in this particular case, 160 degrees will take the larger angle here, but because in a parallelogram, adjacent angles have to match. So here is also 360 degrees. So what we're looking for is the top right corner as well as the bottom left corner. So what if we do this? What if we have 160 plus 160 plus, well, I don't know. So let's call that a value of n, as well as the other angle, which is also the same. So make it the same variable n. And all three of these angles have to be equal to 360 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for n to see what our missing two sides are going to be. All right. First of all, we could subtract out 160 from both sides. So minus 160. So notice I have open a Google calculator, nothing fancy about it. It's just a calculator that everybody has access to. So I'm going to take my 360 minus 160 equals 200. So we got those 160s are out, equals, well, let's go ahead and bring down our rest of our information. 160 plus n equals 360 minus 160 is 200 even. Now we're going to repeat it because we're trying to solve for n. So minus 160 again from both sides, minus 160. And if you want to use a calculator, you can. But in this particular case, I don't need to because 200 minus 160 is just 40. We can just kind of figure that one out. So 160s are out. And by the way, because we have n plus n, that is 2n equals 40. Now, you're left with a one-step equation, as you may figure out. Well, 2 times something must give you 40. So if you want to divide out your last 2 to get n equals 20, you can do so. So that helps us out. So our last two angles are 20 and 20. Now, a good way to check and see if you got this one right is add them all up. If all four vertices are equal to 360 degrees, you know you got it right because that's our goal. Our goal, according to our directions, again, same directions from O10, the sum of the angles of a quadrilateral must be 360 degrees. So 160 plus 20 is 180. And 20 plus 160 over here is also 180. 180 plus 180 is 360. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our responses. I'm going to go ahead and enter 160 was the other congruent angle. A 20 and a 20. All right. So let's say for an example, well, why did I put 160? Because they gave us this 160 already from here. So the ones they didn't give us was that 20, and that 160. So those are the three that we're going to go ahead and put in. And let's go ahead and submit it and see how we did. Woo, terrific. 12 points. I'll take it. A little bit of work. All right, back on a parallelogram, same concept. It is a rectangle that is slanted. So we're going to go ahead and slant a rectangle. It's always fun trying to draw these and get them as straight as possible. It's all good. And they're giving us the 85 right here. All right, because a parallelogram must have two congruent sides as well as parallel sides there, we automatically can know that our other adjacent angle here is 85 degrees. All right, so now what we need to figure out is, well, we got 85 plus 85 plus the two corners I don't know, which are n plus n, is going to be equal to 360 degrees because, again, 360 degrees is the total number of angles added up in a quadrilateral. All right, start knocking them out. Subtract out 85 from both sides. So subtract out 85 from the 360. Utilize that calculator. 360 minus 85 will take me to 275. So 85s are out. One more 85 to go. Plus n equals 275 because we subtracted our 360 minus 85. All right, next step, that other 85 has also got to go. Minus 85 minus 85. And 85s are out. So we got, and by the way, the ends can go together. We have two of our corners left. So we're going to call it 2n equals, let's see, 285 minus another 275 minus another 85. It's going to take us to 190 degrees. So 190. And because there's two angles left, what we need to do is take the 190 and subtract them by 2. So divide by 2. So 190 divided 2, which will leave us with n equals 190 divided 2. Use a calculator if you're a little bit confused. Leaves with 95 left. So our last two angles are 95 degrees respectively. So 95 degrees and 95 degrees. Now, because they gave us this 85 here, we'll just make that this 85 here. So this vertice 1, 2, and 3 are the ones we're going to go ahead and put in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the vertices from largest to smallest. So 95 first, 95 here, and our congruent angle of 85 will land us hopefully with a higher SMART score. Now, just a reminder, a way to check out your work. Well, how do you know if you get this one right? Well, if you add up all four vertices, if they add up to 360, that is correct. So notice 85 and 95 will add up to 180. Good. 85 plus 95 adds up to 180. And these both sides, 180 plus 180 does give you 360. So we should be solid on this one. All right, fantastic. 23, just moving right along. All right, we got two angles of a quadrilateral measure 270 degrees. The other two angles are a ratio of 7 to 11. What are the measures of those two angles? All right, so let's take what we know. We're going to go ahead and take our four sides, and they do give us all four sides, but they just kind of leave out some information on the other two angles. So we know that one side is equal to 200 degrees plus we have another side that is 70 degrees. And because this is a quadrilateral, quadrilaterals mean the angles can be anything. Plus, well, we have a ratio of 7 to 11, which means one angle is 7n and the other angle has to be 11n. Which means these two angles are not the same because this one angle is a little bit larger than the 7n. And all that's got to equal to 360 degrees. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some math, start subtracting out the ones we know, and see what happens. First step is we can subtract out 200 from both sides because that one is well known. Subtract out 200 from 360 degrees. Remember, the 360 degrees is the total number of degrees in a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape. So 200s are out, 70 comes down, plus 7n comes down, plus 11n equals 360 minus 200. I'm getting 160 left on that one. Again, feel free to use the calculator. In fact, I'll double check just so I don't get it wrong, because I really don't want to get these ones wrong. So I got 360 minus 160 should be 200 flat. And notice I did the calculator backwards. I'm like, something's not right. So 360 minus 200, there we go, equals 160. Okay, that makes sense. All right, next step, keep getting rid of stuff. Subtract 70, subtract 70. So 160 minus 70 should take us to 90. Double checking the calculator, there's our 90 there. So therefore, 70s are out. 7n plus 11n comes down equals 90 degrees left. All right, now before, remember we put the ends together. You can still put the ends together, which represents the missing angles. So what we're going to do is, because they have the same variable, n representing a missing number inside of our angle, 7 plus 11 takes us to 18. N equals 90. That's going to be the key step right there. That just made it seem really difficult, but just now made it really easy. All right, and last step, get n by itself, divide 18, and now the value of n equals, clear. Let's see, 90 divide 18 takes us to an angle of 5. Now, I caution you, we're not done yet because we still have to address the ratio. So because it's a ratio of 7 to 11, angle 1, we have 7 times 5. So I'm going to draw a line here. Okay, 7 times 5, which is 35 degrees. Well, how do we get that? Because remember here, we're going to take the 5 and we're going to backwards plug it in for n here as well as n here. So we're going to still utilize that 7 and 11. So 7n, 7 times 5 is 35, so that gives us one missing angle there. And 11 times 5, same 5, 11 times 5 is 55, and there's our other angle. Now, here's what I would do. I would take the calculator and check. Does 35 plus 55 plus 200 given from us up here and 70 here, does it add up to 360? If it does, we're looking really good on this problem. So I'm going to use the calculator for this. So here we go. 35 plus 55 plus 200 plus 70. Cross my fingers, 360 degrees. We got this one correct. So now, as long as I can type it in the box correctly, we're good. So we have one angle of, doesn't matter which order, we can do 35 and 55. And let's see how it works, because this is a terrible problem with all that work and effort to get it wrong. So here we go. All right, got it. I like it. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and clear the screen. And same concept. We got a quadrilateral. They're giving us two angles, and they're giving us a ratio. So we're just going to go ahead and write this one out, and let's do it. So we got 200 plus 110 plus a ratio of 2 times something for one angle plus 3 times angle, whatever that may be, to give us 360 degrees. All right, next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take 200 and subtract it out from both sides. The goal is to get both sides to be n on one side by itself, which is our variable, and our numbers on the right side. So 200s are out. We have 110, bring it down, plus 2n plus 3n equals 360 minus 200. This one looks very familiar because I believe that is 160. All right, next step, let's get rid of 110 from both sides, minus 110. So 110s are out. 2n plus 3n equals 160 minus 111. Let's see, 0, 0. 6 minus 1 is 5. And 1 minus 1, oh yeah, because we got 0 minus 0 is 50. So 160 minus 110 is 50. This one comes out really nice because look, 2n plus 3n equals 5n equals 50. So now you just ask yourself, well, 5 times what gives you 50? And we can find that out by doing the opposite. Divide 5, and therefore n equals 50 divided 5 is 10. All right, we're not done yet. That is the measurement of the ratio of the two. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pull these values out right here. So I want the 2n and I want the 3n back. All right, so here we go. 2n and n is equal to 10, so we got 2 times 10 to give us 20. So that is one missing angle there. And the other one of 3n right here, so we got 3n, which equals 3 times, what is the value of n? You got it, 10 to give us 30. Now let's go around the whole screen and make sure we got all of our measurements. We got 20, we got 30, we got 200, and we got 110. Remember, the goal is they got to add up to 360 for a quadrilateral. So here we go, 20 plus 30 plus 200 plus 110 takes us to 360 degrees. So this one looks beautiful, and I'm very confident we got it correct. So we're going to go ahead and put them in order, 20 and 30. Whatever you do, make sure it's typed in correctly. You type it in wrong, everything will be wrong. And again, this is a lot of work to not get correct, so we want it to get correct. All right, what are we doing? We're going to go ahead and turn it in, and we're at 40. Okay, so we're still giving us 10 points a question. So 4 questions later at 40, not bad. I'll take it. All right, clear the screen. Okay, we are back on a parallelogram. I think I like these ones a lot better. They're not as difficult. So a parallelogram, remember, is like a rectangle, but there's 2 sets of parallel lines. So this line is parallel with this line, and top and bottom are also parallel, which means they have sets of matching angles, which makes it nice. All right, let's take the angle that's obtuse here and call it 153. And because the angle directly across from it also has to be congruent, that is also 153 degrees, which makes it nice. That just knocked us out on one angle, but we still have 2 left. But same concept. We're going to take our 153 plus our other angle of 153, plus we got 2 missing vertices that we don't know. So we're going to add those 2 vertices in there, call it n. N is a number we don't know until we find it. And all 4 angles must be equal to 360 degrees. So we're going to call it 360 there. All right, same concept. We're going to go ahead and minus 153 from both sides. So minus 153 and minus 153. All right, so 360, good. It's still less than the calculator from last time. minus 153 is going to take us to 207. So 153 is out. 153 comes down. Plus n equals 207. Well, we still have another 153 left, so let's take that 207, 153 and address it. So 153 got to go, minus 153. So here we go, 207 minus another 153. Careful as you type it. Give us a missing length of 54. So 153s are out. N plus n equals 54. And because there's two n's, we can combine them. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and take our n plus n. And I'm going to go ahead and so what I want to do is I want to just take those two n's and just put them together. So I'm going to go ahead and erase n plus n. And I'm going to go ahead and call it 2n. Beautiful. All right. So now our last step is to get n by itself. So we're going to go ahead and divide 2 and divide 2. 2 divided 2 cancels out. 2n equals 54 divide 2. Ooh, that's a good one. Seems like a little bit higher than 25. I'm thinking like 27. So here we go. 54 divide 2 is 27. So good. All right. So that's the number of the ratio we're going to use to figure out those two vertices. So actually, I'm still thinking of the quadrilateral. We don't need that. So 27 is the final answer here because there is no ratio because they're one in and one in. Literally 1 times 27 is still 27. So missing side of 27 here and a missing side of 27 here. Now what I would do is take the calculator, check it, see if it makes sense. Does it add up to 180? So I'm going to take 27 plus 153 plus, got to be careful, right? Got that minus in there. Plus another 27 plus 153. Beautiful. We got it again. 360 degrees. So because they gave us this 153 here, don't use one of these 153. So we're just going to use the 3 remaining. So we use 2 27s and 153. You can put them in any order you want. I'm just going to go ahead and put them in the order from greatest to least. So 153 is one angle. And the two missing angles are 27 as well as 27. Give it a submit. Looks good. And let's clear the screen for another one. All right, so here we go. We got another quadrilateral. A quadrilateral could be any four-sided shape. It could be a rhombus, a square, and so forth. All right, so we're given the ratio. So let's see what happens here. A quadrilateral has two angles that measure 40 degrees and 130 degrees. Okay, they're giving us 2. The other 2 angles are a ratio of 3 to 16. What are the measure of those 2 angles? All right, we can do this one. So first of all, let's go ahead and write down the 2 angles we know. We do know that we have a 40 plus 130 plus a ratio of a 3 with that angle plus another ratio of a 16 to that angle. And we know these are going to be equal to 360 degrees. So 360 there. All right, not too bad. Just start subtracting them out and see how well it goes. So first step is subtract out 40 from both sides. So minus 40, minus 40. And 40s cancel out. So I got 130 plus 3n. And I want to be careful not to call that 2. I'm going to call that a 3. Plus 16n equals 360 minus 40 takes us to 320. Now we're going to go ahead and subtract out our next number of 130 from both sides, so minus 130 from both sides. 130 cancels out. Beautiful. We got 3n plus 16n. I don't want to forget the n there. Equals 320 minus 130. I want to be a little bit more careful on this one, so let's just go ahead and use the calculator. So 320 minus 130. And double check I'm putting the calculator right. Takes us to 190. All right, last step. See if you remember, what is the last step? What would you do? That's right. If you said combine like terms, that is absolutely correct. 3n plus 16n, 3 plus 16 is 19n equals 190. Is this always nice when they come out in a base of 10? And what I mean by that is notice 19 and 190. Well, 19 times 10 is 190. So, and how did I get that? Well, dividing 19 for both sides to isolate our n will give us n equals 19, 10 left. There we go. All right. Now we need to go back to our ratios and plug the 10 back in. So I just usually grab it from here. It's fine. So I can grab it from here. I can grab it from here. And they're also up here too. So you can use here or here. And if you really want, you can pull it from here and here. That's fine. Doesn't matter. All right. So we got 3n is our first ratio. Now that we know what n is, which is 10, we got 30 times 10 equals 30. And 16n, we got 16 times 10 because n is 10, is 160. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my blue values. I got 160, a 30, and the 2 they gave us, 40, and 130. Those need to add up to 360, so we know this is correct. So calculator check. We're going to do 30 plus 160 plus 40 plus 130 is 360. That's great. All right. Because they were asking us to measure of those two angles, we just need the two angles that they were looking for. So I'm going to use a 30 and a 160 in this particular case. So a 30 and 160. Careful, careful. I do not want 106. I want 160. And submit it for more right answers. So I'm at 54. Clear the screen. All right, we're back on the parallelogram. So far, the parallelograms I think have been the easier ones. So what does a parallelogram look like? It is that slanted rectangle, quadrilateral. So what that means is top and bottom are the same, as well as sides are the same. So if our acute angle here is 60, well, directly across our acute angle also must be 60 degrees. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an observation. What I've noticed in previous parallelograms is if I divide this in half, that there's always 180 degrees on one side, and there's also 180 degrees on the other side. So what that means is if I take 180 degrees, subtract 60, we'll have our answer. And you can do it the other way, that's fine too, but every time I've done these parallelograms, it's just like it's always 180 degrees on one side, and it's always 180 degrees on the other side. So which means 180 minus 60, or take 18 minus 6 is 12, which is 120 degrees. So now my two missing sides are 120 degrees. Now, if you didn't catch that and you want to replay the video, back it up and take a look at that again. But I think that just saved us a lot of work because, again, I made the observations doing these parallelograms that, again, left side and right side, they always add up to 180. So because they gave us a 60 already, we don't need one of these 60s. So we're just going to go ahead and grab the blues. We're going to grab a 120. We're going to grab another 60 and the other 120 for our solutions. All right, so here we go. We got 120 plus 60. Now, if you want, before I press that submit, I want to be kind of careful because we tried something new. Add them up, see if it works. So does 60 plus 120 plus another 60 plus 120 give us a total of 360 degrees? And it does. So this one has to be right because it's a parallelogram. There can only be two different values. All right. Give it a submit. That worked out nice. Pays off to watch the whole video, doesn't it? All right, now the quadrilateral with the ratios, I haven't found a way around this one yet. So this one we're going to work out. It's just, it is what it is. So back on the quadrilateral, we got a 5. We got a 300. It's a large angle there. Plus, we got the ratio of 3 times some sort of angle value plus an 8 of some sort of angle value to give us a total of 360 degrees because, again, a quadrilateral must add up to 360 degrees. All right. I'll try something a little bit different here. See if this saves time. Well, 5 plus 300 is 305 plus 3n. And actually, let's go ahead and combine those like terms too. So remember, I said I'll try to make it a little bit easier, but I only know what I know. And you learn by trying stuff. All right. So go back to the pen here. So 3n plus 8n, I'm getting 11n equals 360 degrees. That to me kind of shortened it down quite a bit pretty fast. So let's just subtract our 305. So subtract 305 from both sides, minus 305. And 11n comes down to give us 360 minus 305 is 55. Yeah, that shortened it down quite a bit. I think I like that way better. So that's just combining like terms right off the bat. All right. Divide 11 from both sides to isolate our missing angle value. We got n equals 55. Divide 11 is 5. All right. 50, so what we need to do is we need to use our ratios again. So I can go ahead, you know, I'll grab them from here. So we know we have 3n and 8n. 3 times n is going to be 3 times 5 to give us 15 here. And 8 times n, which is 8 times 5. And remember, where are we getting the 5? N equals 5, right? So we got 8 times 5 to give us 40. So there we go. So we got our 4 angles. We got a 15, a 40, a 5, and a 300. Calculator check. See if it works out. We got 15 plus 40 plus 300 plus 5. Right on. It pays to check your work, because that way we know we get it right. So we're going to go ahead and put in 15 and 40. Cross my fingers. 65. Whew. This is a long IXL. All right. We're going to go ahead and clear the board. All right. Back on the parallelograms. Let's go ahead and use our 180 degree on the parallelogram to save us some time, because it worked last time. If it worked the first time, I don't see why it don't keep working. So again, here's the concept of the 180 degree, I'm going to call it trick, I guess. So we got side matches side, bottom matches top, called congruency. Okay, so we got 35 degrees here, which means across we got 35 degrees, they must match there. But according to a parallelogram, there has to be 180 on both sides. So it's 180 degree, 50-50 split. So what that means is we have 180 on the left side, And they're giving us one of them as 35. Just subtract out the 35 to find out the last angle here. So 180 calculator minus 35 takes us to 145. Takes us to 145. And because these two are across from each other, because it's a parallelogram, this one also must be 145. And there we go. Clear the calculator. I'm going to add them up. I don't want to get it wrong. 145 plus 35 plus 145 again. Again, I'm just adding them up. Do they add up to 360 degrees? Plus 35. Just beautiful. Just works out so nice. They gave us a 35 already, so I don't want to use that in my final calculation. So let's get rid of that 35. So our three vertices that are left are the ones we're going to put in. So we'll start with the 145. We'll start with the 35 there and the 145 there. They're out of order, but I don't see why it don't matter. 145, 35, 145, because it got it right. Okay, we're at 70. We're almost there to 80. Clear screen, clear screen. Back to our quadrilateral ratios. That one, we just do it. That's the way it is. Okay, so we got 30 degrees plus 20 degrees plus 11 times something plus 20 times something gives you 360 degrees. All right. I remember saving time by combining like terms, so we can do an add 30 plus 20, which gives us 50. 11n plus 20n. Ooh, I'm getting that 31n on that one. And that's still added up. Equals 360 degrees. Let's get rid of 50 minus 50 from both sides, minus 50. Because we're trying to isolate n by itself. And 50 minus 50 cancels out. So we got 31n equals 360 minus 50 is 10. 310. So I got the 60 minus 50 to 10, then get carried down to 3. All right. Oh, it's a 10 ratio, right? So it is 31 times 10 to give you 310. So how do we get that? Divide from both sides, right? So divide 31, and n equals 310 divide 31 is 10. So there's our ratio there. It's a ratio of a 10. And let's go ahead and bring down 11. So it's 11n. So 11 times n is equal to 10. 11 times 10 is 110. There's 1 right there. And 20n. Go down here, make some room. We got 20 times n. And 20 times 10 is 200 even. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these in blue, keep track of them a little bit nicer. So I got a 200, I got a 110, and it's only 2 boxes, so that works out good. So it just goes in those 2 boxes right there. Nice. Before I submit it, let's double check it. So 110 plus 200 plus 30 plus 20 equals, 360 degrees. So we can plug in 110, and we can also plug in 200, and no, we absolutely get it correct. Okay, we're at a smart score of 74, getting there. Parallelogram. We're going to take another shortcut even faster than this one. So remember, we get better as we go. So remember, we talked about the 180 split. Then they give us an angle of 139. Well, why don't you just take your 180, subtract out 139. And that's going to give you your adjacent angle. So that's going to be 180 in the calculator minus 39. Careful, I thought it was 139. Minus 139. I think it's 41. Yeah, 41. There we go. So what we know is 139 across from it has to be another 139. Then also we have two 41s. So 41 and 41. Now, that was pretty quick. I think I want to check this one to make sure. So let's take it. 139 plus 41 plus 139 plus 41. Nice. Got it. And we just saved ourselves so much time on that one. Okay, last one is the quadrilateral. They just don't let up on these quadrilateral ones. But man, get this one right, I'll be officially on 80. That would be nice. All right. Here we go. We got 110 plus 120 plus our ratio values of 5n plus 8n equals 360 degrees. I do prefer to combine like terms first, so let's put our 110 and 120 together. So 0, 0 is 0, 2 and 1 is 3, and 1 and 1 is 2, so I got 230. 5 plus 8, I'm getting 13 n, and that is a positive 13 n, equals 360 degrees. What we're going to do is subtract 230 from both sides, so minus 230 minus 230. 230s are out. We got 13 n equals, we can do this one, it's not that bad. 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 3 is 3. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So 130. Nice. Another ratio of a 10, because 13 and 130 are 10 base. So 13 divided 13 cancels out. And for fun, if you want, you can use a calculator to do 130 divide 13. But we know it's going to be 10 because look, there's that 0 and it's a 10 base left. Okay, there's our ratio value. I'll bring down the ratios. We have the first ratio of 5n. So that's 5 times 10 to give us 50 for our first value. And the 8 is going to be 8n. 8 times 10 is going to give us 80. Now just check our blue values and see if they add up to 360. So 50 plus 80 plus 110 plus 120 should add up to 360. Let's see, here we go. 50 plus 80 plus 110 plus 120. Nice. 360 again. So if I could type this in correctly, 50 and our missing angle of 80, that will give us a smart score of 82. Thank you. And this concludes this very long version of IXL O.11.